Barnabas, did you buy the COVID from the same guy you bought the fucking Red Mercury from?
Hold on,
you're
working up on 10 seconds. You got to be quiet now so she can introduce us.
Welcome back to Boomer Rex Tonight, your nearly daily source for news and politics. Our goal is to give you this information from three different points of view. Mr. Boomer Rex.
Good evening.
Is a boomer and asshole.
This is just like that coup in Turkey.
No, wait a minute.
Is a millennial.
You said I was a boomer and asshole, which I tend to agree with.
Lord knows everyone who knows you thinks it.
An asshole is a millennial. They both know tons about politics.
Wildly too much.
Okay. And I, RisenLadyHeathen, am a millennial and also a woman, and I'm learning about politics. So 3 completely different perspectives going on here. We want to inform you, our listeners, on news and politics from each different perspective at our literal round table. We literally sit at a round table.
We do, actually. We all sit on one side. I don't know what that says, but...
So let's dig right into our headlines. Elections for morons.
Yeah, gotta love it. So now there's a 4th resident of the village in Florida, villages in Florida.
I want that shit.
Who's been arrested for voter fraud. That doesn't mean he did it. But
no, but that means
evidence.
he should get a fucking visit from the no-knock theory.
Yeah. Well,
I fuck around and find out voting is
ballots. Unless he
one of
can
those
show
things
he didn't, he's got a problem.
that I'm willing to. That old lady who was bored and was just filling out the ballots, capital punishment. Done. I would summary execute her ass on the steps of where the voting is going on.
Just never keep.
It's one of those things that nope.
This strikes directly at the heart of
the
democracy.
belief in the system.
If
and
you were
governments are like fairies
cheating
in
on the
Peter
system,
Pan. If the people stop believing in it for one moment,
I might settle for 30 years at hard labor.
Fine.
But, okay.
They've already stopped believing in it. Let's be honest.
I don't care.
Then we don't need to underwrite it, because otherwise we should just give up on dirty cops. We should, fuck it, let's really get a fire going.
Yeah.
Let's do what we did that was so bad they kicked us out of Europe. Out of Amsterdam.
Ooh.
What the fuck were we doing?
We don't want to know. Maybe we'll do it
someday. You can tell.
We'll have Risen do research about it. It's white folks doing stuff to white folks, so they probably took scrupulous notes.
Oh, I believe it.
I'll bet they at least got everybody's name goddamn consistent in whatever lie they're telling.
Fair.
This is in reference to somebody suggested that's right, you weren't around because Barnabas's half-assed COVID didn't kill you. So we were discussing she's going to do women that history has screwed over. Like the lady, the multiple ladies apparently, they wouldn't let go Nobel Prizes because they might have a period on it, or I don't know what the fucking uber nerds were thinking.
Yeah, but
other than it was the 30s and 40s.
In just very minimal research, I already found 2 women that were denied a Nobel Peace Prize that absolutely deserved it.
So somebody had suggested she should do
Pocahontas.
And that's going to be right in that period that when she was doing the Thanksgiving and just shouting about research is bad and we should just kill all the knowers.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was.
So we found another case.
Yeah, apparently. I'm trying to get her to do places where we actually have some records and
it might actually
there
have
might
an
be
answer.
Government Records Act enforced. Yeah.
So anyway, another one from the villages in Florida. This one, not obvious what his political orientation is, but he joins.
He lives in the villages.
Joan Halstead, Jay Ketzik, and John Ryder, who were facing felony charges for casting more than one ballot for Trump.
I was going to say, let me guess, they're all for Trump. Because let's face it, the only cheaters in this election we've found so far have been for Trump. I have not found a case
the villages
yet, because there might be a case out there. If you know of one, let me know. But I have not found an official case that is legally,
This isn't how the left strikes at the system. I do remember watching them cut away from one of the humans with good hair who was doing the news and talking about how, she had voted in the place she lives and the other place where she owns a house. And one of the people on air was like, you need to stop talking. If that's legal. A joke, it's not funny.
Yeah.
If it's not a joke, you need to retain
felony.
counsel.
Yeah.
And you need to tell somebody.
Yeah, that's not.
You're not allowed to vote everywhere you have houses. That, the internet.
Yep.
Yeah, you get to vote once, wherever that might be.
Your crime distilled down to a concept.
So tell me about Donald Trump bailing on his speech, because this is fucking hysterical.
No, this is just
I heard a good
hilarious.
conspiracy there.
Good job, Trump.
he's calling on his supporters to rise up and so forth, but he cancels the speech. It appears he canceled it when all the national media said he wasn't getting live coverage.
That's right. That's
course.
so much cooler.
Yeah.
Oh no, because you can't give him live coverage. We've discussed this. So we will be talking about the January 6th insurrection.
We discussed this when his name was George Lincoln Rockwell.
News, but one of the things that I found interesting was MSNBC did a whole, I don't know how long it was. It might still be going on, but they did a whole thing where they were talking about the insurrection and the start and the middle, the end, and where we
Lots
are
of
now.
good video of those peaceful Trump supporters.
The best thing they did was take Trump talking about how these people were loving and open and joyful
And the baseball bats
and
and
they
the-
were polite and all these things. So they took the speech of him talking about how wonderful these people were and how loving they were to the cops and everything, and overlaid it over the violence that occurred on January 6th. It was
It's the
beautiful.
shitheads beating
It was
cops.
brilliant. And I want more of that, MSNBC. Keep doing it. I love you.
It's the shitheads beating cops with pro-cop flags that they believe in nothing. That's what annoys me about us getting, not us so much, but everyone being hyper-focused on what Trump did when, no, Trump is the last step in a million asshole march that goes back a long way. Right? He's not the first man that wanted to burn America down because it suited his momentary interest of avoiding the law.
No,
He's
he
just the
managed
most crass at
He
it.
managed to capture the imagination of a bunch of people, lie just consistently and constantly about absolutely everything.
But that's the demonstration of power, right? That's if you aren't whatever enough to agree with Mao's and Che Guevara's and every other violent revolutionary statements of where power extends from, then power extends from the graft and contracts and using the system against your victims. That's what makes him more Weinstein than Guevara.
Yeah.
Fair. So let's move on for the moment, since we're going to be talking a lot about the insurrection coming up. And tell me about Trump's fifth column.
So, okay, these words are from John Stower, and I love them.
Which one's
Yes,
that?
I'm gonna. He's
A human, some way.
yeah. I think he writes for Rost or possibly Salon. Anyway, so he says, let's remember, the Times was afraid to call Donald Trump a liar in 2015.
Yeah.
And there is really no question that timidity and lack of truth-telling by major news outlets is partly responsible for the perilous state we're in today.
Fuck the is it Washington Post? Which one does Bezos own? That babbles about democracy dies in darkness. And no, it dies like this. Pick up a real history book, so probably not one from Texas. And it's the failure to act. The Weimar failed, the
Absolutely.
whatever the Khmer Rouge rolled over. Oh, the fucking royal family. Yeah.
So he says, I think many Washington journalists became very comfortable with the stenographic school of journalism.
Ooh.
They didn't want to give it up. If they quoted for the Democrats and the Republicans in roughly equal numbers and acted like their comments were equally valid, they could stake out a comfortable position as
He was gym class.
objective.
Everyone had to have a turn.
And the small talk and the cocktail parties would remain congenial. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Those cowards let America down in every way. It's
yeah.
possible to let America down.
With America holding hands and gleefully skipping beside them with no politics at Christmas, no, they're descending into madness.
Yeah.
We are losing them to lunacy.
Yeah, because
Right, I've had this discussion about family members and friends who've gotten into religion in a way that was leading them away from fucking rationality.
Yeah, and this is a rough topic for me because I do have a family member who I have a hard time talking to, and it really worries me because I love this person dearly, and I worry. I do. I worry for them, and I don't know how to talk to them. You know what I mean? So I can understand where I'm sure there's many people out there in a similar situation to who have somebody, a family member, a very close friend, someone that they love dearly, and you cannot have certain discussions with them because they just go off the rail on these rants, and you're just like, no, this is not who you are. This is not who I grew up with, right? Like, you're like,
Who are you and what have you done with my homie?
and why? You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
why can't we talk about this
Yeah, I can't
rationally
follow
and
your
calmly?
train of logic to hear.
Well,
And again,
especially-
I love the point of they didn't logic themselves into it, and in deference to BoomerX's concerns, will get sued. Specifically, I will get us sued because I'm an asshole like that. A very specific radio host contributed to one of my friends dying very alone and very scared of the world he was in. And he was one of the brightest kids I knew.
Yeah.
Like, I watched him make plate armor out of stolen stop signs. Don't steal stop signs, the internet.
no,
But
don't do the.
it was a
crimes.
different time, and
Yep.
the stealing had already happened. My point being, human fear drive is probably it actually eclipses sex. I take it back.
Yeah,
it
it
is the
does.
most powerful.
Yeah.
So if you thought sex sold and that the scumbags, remember, everybody loved Mad Men when, that's who's going to destroy that's who's going to make you drink ditch water, and you're going to be glad there's water.
No,
Yep.
today I think is hard for everybody because everybody's reflecting on what happened, right, and what it's led to, and how it got.
Sadly,
this
I don't
far.
think it's
Yeah.
hard for any
Yeah.
of the Trumpistas.
No,
They believe
but,
they're right.
But the people who listen to us,
Oh, fine.
yeah,
No, I spent exactly no part of this reflecting because that January 6th isn't some special day. That's like claiming 9/11.
No, but we did manage to get it in one pile, and the good news is we're going to prosecute about 700 of those fucktards.
of the
No,
thousands
and we've
that were there.
done what I wanted. A bunch of them stayed outside. I don't care about them. That was like,
Not at all.
look, America's gonna fuck them.
And I
bad
know
enough.
I will accept that argument for some of the latecomers who wandered in after there was no fight at the door.
Yeah. If
Wandered
you walk
around,
through an
looked
open
around.
door, I'm iffy on saying breaking and
I'll
entering versus.
exactly. I'll charge you with trespassing, fine you $5,000.
Yeah,
Send you
I'm
on
not
your
hitting
way.
you with official proceedings, which is a 20-year bid. I'm not. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the kids who were fighting, the kids who took the stairs, the kids who. Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna talk about that. So
I know,
Let's move on. What's the dark beliefs? Is that the dark personality thing we were talking about
No.
before?
This is
Interesting.
Okay.
this is something that's actually a current problem for us.
Oh,
There are 21 million adults who agree to two things.
Yeah.
One, that Biden stole the election, and that violence is an acceptable
You got the numbers on
solution
it?
to restoring Donald Trump to power.
They are closer to having 50% of Americans believing violence is okay in pursuit of political objectives than we are to de-radicalizing them.
Okay.
Just
you guys
based on the numbers.
cannot see, but I literally, as soon as Boomer started talking, put my hand over my face and put my head down because this is just disturbing in ways that
Yep.
that I can't even get into. We're gonna be getting into it in a little bit here, but
No, but
God,
there's
this
this
is-
mistaken belief in. I'm sorry, carry on.
no, it's so terrifying. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
There's a mistaken belief amongst Americans that we could have a fire and rebuild at that level. And I will point out, we talked Americans into joining a union when Ben Franklin was throwing a pot full of shit out the window, just like everyone else in the morning.
Yeah.
That's not where we are now.
Yep.
What we would build is a prison colony. Right. It would be the worst nightmares of the British when they were sending us here in chains. No, it's the same as Americans believe a handful of kitchen chemistry will make them able to rock an insurgency, and we are incredibly good at network analysis. You cannot. We would round up, right, again, look at how we fought the last two wars. We don't give you a place to fight us, right? We hard point up outside of major cities, and you're not coming up on a U.S. post without driving through 6 layers of defense. And no,
Once in a while you'll get lucky, but it won't be often.
and as we saw from the disruptions in the supply chain, it takes almost nothing.
Yeah, we're
right.
incredibly
2 PFCs
fragile.
can shut down the busiest highway in America.
Yep.
All right. So, what's going on with these dark beliefs? How many people did you say believe these?
21 million.
That's a lot of people. How many people are in America?
Well, 1% is 3 million ish.
Yeah, but we're talking about voting age.
Yeah, no, the numbers I saw were in the 30% of both
Okay,
sides.
that'd be
believe
about
that
right.
Violence is right. We are in the time that you might have to take the law into your own hands.
So 21 million people out of roughly 200 million.
That and the number of 18-year-olds is 2/3 of the math problem the U.S. government uses to determine whether or not your country is going to have a revolution. Also, food instability, which isn't likely to get better going forward.
Yeah, no, food deserts are only getting worse.
That's what caused the Arab Spring, was crop failure. Right? Every
Yeah.
country is 3 meals away from anarchy.
Right.
No, one of the things, if I ever became a billionaire, like overnight or whatever, one of the things I would try to, invest in is how do we better, what products, like what vegetables and such should we focus on that are, don't take as much water, that will feed more people, that have
Drip
better
irrigation gets you
nutrition.
The
all of
ones
that.
the
all
rich
that
want to
stuff.
pay a lot for.
Those take a lot of water.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, she's
No,
saying she wants.
I'm saying we want to get
crops
rid of
that matter.
so
She's not looking to get
almonds.
rich. She's a
Almonds are
bad
terrible,
capitalist.
so we want to cut down on that, right? So we want to cut down on the stuff that's taking over our water sources in places that are going to run out of water, right? So
Have
let's move
run out of
those to
I was going to say
places.
that ship has sailed.
But anyway, I would look into this and I would pay lots of money for it.
You go.
Yeah, no, that's a terrifying number. Let's keep that in mind as we lead into.
The people who run revolutions say you need the ability to mobilize what, 1%,
Well, because this is
3%,
and
arm another 10.
remember, this is all part of what's happened since a year ago today, right?
Yep.
This is all part of that. So let's move forward for the moment and drive on.
Well, it's what has continued to happen.
Yeah.
America's been on this path since the first time
Agreed,
that
but
the minimum wage dropped.
agreed. But you can't deny that this has fast forwarded a lot of this.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No, this
take-
is the next baby step in it. That's kind of my issue, is that this has become a big anniversary because it's the thing cable television is good at.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it's the same reason why we still keep doing 9/11 stuff when
Yep.
America stopped caring about 9/11 on about 9/24.
So what's going on with Take This Job and Shove It right now?
So we had talked about Warren Buffett's unwillingness to even believe that he should intervene to settle a strike by steel workers at a company that he owns. And this is a failure of leadership so gross it's hard to talk about.
Maybe we shouldn't believe people's leadership abilities related to their bank account.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
But it
No,
also
he just
means
turned
Warren
into one
Buffett
more
should
rich
never
guy.
pay. Yes,
He's one more rich guy saying, I got mine, tough
he's
shit.
one more generic ass billionaire.
Yeah.
He should never be allowed on another Democratic stage again, ever.
So anyway, what we're
We should make his
promising,
name Mud.
yeah, what we're promising is we'll do a deep dive on the disintegration of the American social contract, which is just gone.
I want to figure out what scumbaggery he did to get rich.
So things like trickle down,
Oh yeah.
the war on the unions, the war on the government, the war on women.
Honestly,
they're all related.
yeah, and we could literally do deep dives on each of those things individually, let alone.
No, we're
tie
going
it
to do a
together.
show on it.
Yeah.
We'll trace through right? When did the rich decide that there was a lot of money in those pension funds if they could just steal it? And et cetera, et cetera,
Yeah.
et cetera.
Oh God, yeah. Well, and also one of the things
Insider trading.
I meant. Oh, that's not. Don't do that, people. That's not okay.
No, Bloomberg did it by organizing it and selling you a connection to a thing.
Okay.
Right. So, and yeah, effectively insider trading, because if you couldn't, right, again, it's if you don't have $5 million to put in, you can't get real investment advice either.
Fair. Boomer Rex is about damn time. What good news do you have for us tonight?
Oh, a couple of clowns who went to the Capitol. They didn't do anything super bad. They were sentenced to 30 days. But I loved what the judge said. The judge goes, "This wasn't Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure." So, anyway, they came to Washington knowing full well the events of January 6th. Their actions were an assault on the American people.
Agreed.
And the American dream.
Yeah.
I love it when judges get it right.
I know. The one that didn't let the guy to go to Jamaica made my fucking day. Because they were talking about, it's a very serious, he has to go there to meet his soon-to-be in-laws because he's been in a relationship for over a year, and it's very serious. And the judge is like, yeah, well, also a year ago, he was breaking indoors and being Billy
so,
Badass.
no.
So, no, sorry, Ricky Recon, your ass doesn't get to go to Jamaica.
So we were talking about this clown wandering around with a fake sheriff's badge and
Yes.
the most god-awful golf shirt I've ever seen in my life. I can't imagine why any
And
mentally
battling
normal
citizens arrest.
human
If you
being...
ever
Yes,
look, you can hold people at gunpoint. Don't ever say the phrase citizens arrest.
I know.
Just I will fucking kill you.
Yeah.
That's a good enough way to hold them. You're not even like, don't try and dress it up. Just,
Yep.
I had the high ground.
We're going to stand here until the police get here. So anyway, so he had a court hearing.
Oh, really?
Right.
Why?
So he showed up for the court hearing. Oh, on something totally unrelated.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
of course
I
it
love
was.
So he shows up for it, refuses to wear a mask, refuses to do this, that,
How'd
and
that
the
go
other.
for him?
The judge locked him up.
Good. Fuck him.
Yeah.
I hope you get COVID in jail, motherfucker.
Oh, I'm sure you will.
Yeah, aggressively.
Nothing else. Look at the number of sheriff's deputies who have gotten it because their dicks are too big to get a vaccine or something. I don't know what Billy Badass bullshit.
For a lot of facilities, being vaccinated probably doesn't make a lot of difference in whether you get it or not.
No, and it's I don't know about a lot of places, but they just don't let them out of their cages. So.
But they don't have good ventilation. They don't have.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
9.5.
No. So the whole building is thoroughly contaminated.
Oh, of course.
Right.
But that means we've turned
They're not even trying.
retrial lockup
Into
and baby jail
Petri dishes.
into solitary.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah,
no,
no,
it's
for-
like I don't because
it's
again,
not okay.
80% of people who get COVID don't know.
Solitary is so bad for
Yeah.
people, and you know what? I'm gonna write that in my little Risen's Book of Secrets, which some of you folks will get to get glimpses into if you sign up for a Patreon.
And a
at
chance to bid on it
particular
later,
level.
maybe. Who
No,
knows?
I'm not giving this up because
I thought you were originally talking about merchandising these.
I was joking because I cannot let people see this. I write terribly. I don't know how to spell. And this is just notes for me, right? So I don't want anyone to see
So what you're
these
saying is
and
they
make
need a
fun
lot
me.
of zeros before we're talking real, like giving them one.
I'm not giving anybody that. I will fight you to the death.
$100,000 the internet. I'll give you one of her books.
I will burn them. Fuck you. Fuck y'all.
$200,000. I'll make sure it doesn't burn.
What the fuck were we talking about? I was gonna write down
I don't know.
We were talking about
Solitary.
solitary. Yes.
Which isn't cool like you're thinking. The internet. They're not in there playing. I mean,
So while we're
probably
talking
playing
about
solitaire.
Omicron being
Yeah.
passed around and so forth, there are 95 cruise liners in U.S. waters. Every one of them has exceeded the threshold at which CDC begins an investigation. We're not talking one or two cases on each one.
We got a couple of pockets worth of seals, right? I need the big boat to go blurp. Get on it. I need no one to survive. Yeah, there were sharks with knives or whatever.
Oh, shucks, yeah. So anyway, the World Health Organization, people are saying, oh my God, there's a new variant. Its name is IHU. It's got 40-something mutations, and it's, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And the answer is, the World Health Organization says, yes, we're aware of it. We've been aware of it for some time. It is not spreading against Delta or Omicron, so it's not a variant of concern.
Okay, so this is updates with BoomerX for those of you who are wondering.
This is
On
the
Omicron.
IHO or whatever it is, right?
IHU.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
So right now, that is not a strain of concern.
No.
Cool. So tell me about your climate weirding update.
No, just we talk about climate doing weird shit. So I-95 in Virginia was closed for 24 hours.
Whoa, that's not a tiny road.
Why?
That's not a tiny road, and 24 hours is a long damn time if
Yeah.
you got on with a quarter tank and have no water
Yeah.
or
So from what?
snow. The good
No,
news is, thank you, truckers. Truckers were walking up and down near their trucks because they always have extra water and extra this and extra that, and many of them have extra blankets and
Like mech troops, they're a rolling commissary.
yeah. So they were walking up and down and being sure people were okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So, way to go, guys.
truckers. This is why you know what? I'm all about, trucks that drive themselves, but I feel like there needs to be a human inside the truck for emergency purposes and stuff because this is something that I will say is that, yes, truckers are a necessary thing. And whereas I believe it's amazing that trucks can drive themselves, I think having the human element is always important.
Yep.
Because there are certain things that a computer cannot make decisions for or about. So that's just my thing. I love you, truckers. Keep doing your thing. Do you have anything else to say on this, or
No, we keep talking about things that don't happen very often.
Yep.
And this hasn't happened in many, many, many years.
Oh yeah, no.
So, again, I've
When's
been
the
in
last day of frost gonna be?
no fucking idea.
Okay.
I've been in Virginia when we suddenly got 18 inches of snow. Right.
Yeah, no fun.
And we're using tanks to lead ambulances to emergency calls.
And to not clear underpasses.
Oh, God. Yeah.
How'd that work?
You want to tell the story?
Yeah, I don't know the story.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't there.
So anyway, this is Virginia Beach.
There.
And at one spot, I don't know, let's see, what are there's Atlantic and Pacific. So this was probably Pacific, but maybe not. Anyway, one of those two roads right along the ocean front. And this had been lots and lots and lots of snow and wind. And two of the apartment complexes had been just perfectly aligned so that the snowdrift literally continued the apartment complex from one side of the street to the other.
Oh, shit.
And one of our idiots thought he'd just knock that down with a tank.
Of course.
Yeah, didn't work.
I believe it.
Yeah, had to drag a chain in there and pull his ass out.
Oh.
So,
This is the M60 tank.
yeah, for sure.
Awesome. All right. Do you have an up? Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
That's a sexy tank. Tell us about the Rethug Retards. You have an update for that?
No, I don't. We're still following that one, right? This is Mississippi Governor Mike Parson, who's trying so hard to get a local reporter charged with hacking for telling him they had a...
I bet the reporter's trying to get charged at this point. Like, do it, yeah. Come on. I need a beach house, shithead.
If I were the reporter, I would long since have talked to a
I'm your
lawyer,
Huckleberry.
and I would have said,
I'm your Huckleberry.
is there anything you can think of?
I got two lawyers, one for each of you. No, I fuck around and find out.
Yeah. No, if this were me, I would be talking to my lawyer asking, since this is so obvious, right? Is there anything we can do very quietly to pressure the prosecutor into laying charges?
Yeah.
Because as soon as those
'Cause I don't want
charges
a
are
beach
laid,
house,
the
yeah.
reporter's a rich man.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And a rock star reporter.
yes.
No, madness.
No, I'm curious to see how that all plays out. So I have a quick story for us, and then we're gonna get into our January 6th insurrection details. Worst mom ever. Worst mom ever. A Colorado woman is charged with the 2017 death of her 7-year-old child. Kelly Turner is accused of lying about her daughter's health to get money and attention. Turner pled guilty to felony child abuse, negligently causing death, felony theft, and felony charitable fraud. Turner, who also used the name Kelly Grant, was arrested in 2019. Suspicion fell on her when Turner brought her older daughter to the hospital, claiming she had bone pain. After the elder daughter was removed from Turner, investigators say she has not had any medical complaints. This led to the exhumation of Olivia Grant, the younger dead daughter, whom Turner claimed died of intestinal failure. While alive, Turner claimed Olivia suffered many illnesses such as seizure disorder and a buildup of fluid in cavities within her brain. The new autopsy found no traces of intestinal failure or other issues Turner claimed she had. Before her death, Turner brought Olivia into the hospital with a feeding tube in her. I don't know how she managed to get a feeding tube into her child. The doctors said she lacked nutrition, and Olivia died a few weeks later. One doctor says Turner wanted to withdraw medical care, asked for the feeding tube to be removed, and forced the doctor to sign a DNR. Fucking crazy town. That's what this
Why is it batshit shitheads are the only ones that realize doctors work for you and do what you tell them?
So she for a few years, put this.
I just
this
didn't have
daughter-
a much grocery
She was
store.
collecting money.
Put her daughter out, got $11,000 from Make-A-Wish. Her
'Cause
daughter
kid got the hyper cancer.
They've got pictures and video of her daughter on drive-alongs with cops and that sort of thing as part of her Make-A-Wish, whatever.
Yep.
And it turns out that this child was never actually sick and was legitimately murdered by her mom because her mom refused to give her food.
Nope, I figured this was way grosser. Like, this is horrific, and obviously this is one of those humans we should do one of those, like, oven baptisms on.
Yeah.
Or, like, whatever. It drives the demons out, I'm told.
Right.
Which is another way a horrible mother killed her kid.
Yeah, no, just absolutely disgusting, absolutely terrible. I hope they throw the book at her. Fuck this woman. So let's get into the January 6th insurrection. Now,
All right.
I want to start by giving us a play-by-play of the January 6th, the day. So what happened, how it played out, and everything.
Yep.
So I watched this incredible documentary that came out 6-7 months after the insurrection called Day of Rage. How Trump supporters took the U.S. Capitol, and it's by the New York Times. You can find it on YouTube. So this is where this information comes from. So let's start by talking about which groups were there, because a lot of Trumpers and such are trying to say, the FBI, it was Antifa, it was whatever. So
Fedsurrection is a good line.
It is a good line. I saw that today and thought,
Fuck
shit, I
Tucker
wish they
Carlson
hadn't.
in both of his eyes.
But in reality, when you watch the videos and such, these are the major groups that you find that were there. QAnon, of course, was there in force.
But that's mad-libbed conspiracy theory.
The Oath Keepers, who were extremely organized.
Yes.
They had body armor, they had radios.
These are the ones that put the lie to our way of normalizing it by talking about Meal Team 6 and everything else.
So
that you don't have to be a fit 82nd Airborne kid to take
Well,
a
and they
building.
weren't leading the way. They were pushing others into the cops.
well, one thing with the Oath Keepers specifically is those are the ones you want to watch for in the videos by looking for the ones that
Tech
look
gear.
like military.
Yep.
They're wearing all brown and
Yep.
dark camo, brown camo, what's it called? I don't know.
Tactical gear.
But tactical gear, basically, that you can buy at any sort of secondhand shop. Or
The
whatever.
guy that we have photos walking, he's not Oath Keepers, but he is walking over the aisles, the seats in the Senate.
Yeah.
He's got flex cuffs on. Those flex cuffs cost about $10 each. The vest he's wearing costs $400 because it's got a hydration pouch slot. It's like, these are people with really good gear. Most of them don't have, like, the problem is they don't have the training you would like need to use that gear, but they have enough training.
Well, and you see in different videos, these groups of the Oath Keepers.
They
who
chalked up and
they're-
took a
They're
building.
lining up. They're following each other.
Yeah.
One person plows the way. The rest of them are arm on shoulders, following them.
Yep.
So
No, they're
that's how
presenting
they
a single
plow in.
organism to the crowd, which means the crowd will move.
So the other major group that was there, and these were the key instigators of the riot, and that's the Proud Boys. The Proud Boys consist of far-right nationalists. So they also had body armors, radios. They carried baseball bats. So that's one of the ways.
Oh, they
you
were going
can
to play
tell-
t-ball afterwards, or
tell
it's
the
one of the
difference.
weapons you can carry and you have an excuse for. Doesn't work if you don't have a mitt in your trunk as
When
well.
you're watching these videos, you can also point out a lot of the Proud Boys because most of them, well, maybe not most of them, but a
They have a
significant amount of them
uniform.
were wearing orange hats or had orange tape on their backpacks and such. But again, like the Oath Keepers, they were wearing body armor. They were having radios. They were talking to each other.
They tend to be identifiable by their black and gold polo shirts.
That as well.
In other events, I don't know about.
So this investigation starts weeks prior to January 6th. Over 1 million mentions on social media discussing storming of the Capitol. Maps were shared. The layout of the Capitol building was shared. There was lots of talking about bringing
And
guns
social media was doing what?
and ammunition and discussions of which lawmakers should be targeted first.
It was recommending you should be friends with your local Proud Boys chapter because you liked one thing from Fox News that one time.
Now, I have some really important names to drop with you, and that's the Proud Boy leaders, okay? And these people are videotaped and shown in the video on the property. Ethan Norden, who was given quote-unquote war powers by the Proud Boys.
By the snitch in charge of the Proud Boys.
Joe Biggs, who is a Florida organizer. Of course, he's from Florida. Dominique Pizzola, who was a former Marine, who is the leader here. And Billy Crestman. Okay, so these are all major players in the insurrection. You see them in multiple videos entering, some of them entering, leaving, and then opening up new entrances for more people and re-entering. So there's a lot of weird back and forth going on. And all of these people are among the first riders in the Capitol. FBI and local government were warned many times of threats of violence, but none were deemed credible, and they declined offers of assistance. Absolutely batshit stupid, absolutely batshit insane. This is just crazy.
No, this is the normalcy bias.
Yeah. No, so the difference between the two is the Proud Boys are if we're going to do the Nazis, or every fascist group has it, they're the street brawling level kids. They're not the ones who are given a list of names on the night we're going to do some other stuff and everyone's going to be looking the other way, but these people don't get to tomorrow's sunrise.
Okay, so here's where the story begins. So you have these groups, you have the Proud Boys, you have the Oath Keepers, you have the QAnons, and then you have your average everyday Trump supporter, okay? So they're all hanging out waiting for Trump to speak. Now, the Proud Boys sneak away early. They sneak away about 2 hours before Trump finishes his speech. And they...
I need a pen.
Oh. Here.
Thank you.
So they sneak away about 2 hours before the speech ends, and they start things, okay? So they're over there hassling the cops, yelling and shouting and causing a scene. Joe Biggs, in one of the videos, you see him talking to a Trump supporter named Ryan Samsel. Okay. Then a minute later, after the conversation, no one knows what's said, but you can see them conversing. And about a minute later, Ryan Samsel is the first to approach the police line. And that's when the violence starts. He walks right up to the line, starts pushing and shoving. Other people move forward. This is where shit goes south. Within 15 minutes of being called, Washington police arrive. The much-needed National Guard won't show up for over 4 hours. The explanation of why will come later.
First off, this is the part where we actually do get to say, what the fuck, cops? You should have dropped him the way you would have dropped a BLM protester. Right? Punch him in the throat with your shield and drive forward. Or whatever. But they would have taken clear and decisive action if it weren't.
So what you have to remember is none of these officers have riot gear. None of these officers are prepared for this in any manner. They're just hanging out, doing their job.
Do you think they would have behaved if it weren't a sea of white faces?
I think on the front part of the lawn where it is initially barred, okay, there's maybe 2.5 dozen-ish officers. That's it.
That's enough.
On the entire front lawn.
No, that's not enough. I was picturing it. Right. I was picturing much more Boston Massacre painting than where you just fuck him up.
They are severely overwhelmed, and this is just with the Proud Boys.
No, but that is what you have to do in a riot control situation. Is you have to, the first person who steps out of line gets fucked up way bad.
But they don't have the people for that, and they don't have the...
That actually makes it more important. If you're a smaller group, they have to know that you can go better than 1-to-1. You have to convince them you're bigger than you are. And that would have been done by batoning this kid or bear mace. Oh, cops just have regular pepper spray. But, he gets cuffed rough. No one else wants to play. I don't think that would have changed anything about the rest of the day.
Because here's the problem. This one guy approaches the barricade, and you can watch this in the videos. And as soon as he gets up in the cop's face and starts doing this thing, and come on, and everybody else comes around. So
Yeah.
you instantly have about 30, 40 people on top of 4 guys.
Yep.
4 guys holding a line.
Yeah, I'm not saying they should have, but that was I wanted to find a place where there was still a moment where it could have gone the other way. And I'm not sure there was one. But it would have had to be one of these very early interactions. That, nope, coming up over the thing, gets your teeth kicked in.
So the Proud Boys start the movement forward. Okay, so they're there, they're pushing things forward. They're already up to the next layer, right? So they've already pushed back cops in that particular space. After Trump finishes his speech, more rioters join the fray and fill the now clear front part of the Capitol. So because they've pushed
this is why you
cops
can't
back already.
Well, but you have to point out, this is after rich Trump-tard after rich Trump-tard after rich Trump-tard used incredibly violent language at the rally.
Mo Brooks asked them if they were willing to lay down their lives as their founding fathers had been willing to.
Yeah.
He was, were they? And this was on top of a media drumbeat.
And you notice he didn't go because he's a coward.
None of them went because that's how they're not going to face any kind of charges or inconvenience over this.
Now, this is where the rioters actually get to the Capitol building itself and start actually breaking in. And rioters at this point are fighting bitterly with police. Like this is nasty and it's not okay. Proud Boy Dominique Pizzola smashes a window with a riot shield he stole from an officer. Now, we don't know how he assaulted or if he assaulted or if he just stole it from somebody else who had gotten it. But
this is when it's become a rout for the cops.
yeah.
Right.
Once you're dumping gear, it's over.
Well, unless you're willing to surge backwards, lock the doors, and set up a
kill
pre-fire
everyone
zone.
that moved. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can look at I'm sorry.
No.
Ashley Babbitt will come up, and that's when I will make
that's
the point.
coming much later. We got a lot to cover before we get there. So Dominique Pizzola smashes a window with a riot shield he stole from an officer and encourages others inside. So he breaks open the window and says, "Come on, guys, let's go."
Do we know if he ever went in?
He did. Okay. Once they gain entry, they open doors to offer entry for others. So now we have our first set of doors open, right? So they broke in through a window and they've gone over and they've pushed cops out of the way and said, no.
Yeah.
And they've opened the doors and they've started to let people in at free will, so to speak. This is where Eugene Goodman intercepts the rioters while the Senate begins to evacuate. So no evacuations have even started yet. This just is starting now.
Because that would have been a bloodbath.
Goodman draws the rioters away from the escape route he was guarding alone to reinforcements. Yeah. So there, you can see in the background the senators and stuff escaping through this back room.
Yeah.
And he sees this and he leads them another way. Okay. So he leads them up a staircase, and at the top of the stairs, where he's expecting to find reinforcements at some point, he sees the Senate door is unguarded and open. And there's still senators in there. So he pushes the lead protester to get him to look at him, to pay attention to him. He pushes him a couple of times and yells at him and starts leading him the other way, away from the Senate doors. This man is a fucking saint.
Yep.
He is brilliant, and I admire his God, I can't even put into word heroism, right? Like it seems like such a blah thing to call this man, but he is beyond a hero.
Not only did he have the
guardian of whatever of our actual Constitution. Like, this man is. There are not words to describe how amazing this man is for what he did.
You get credit for this one too.
What?
Look where he learned how to actually think about shit. He worked for our rich uncle too.
There you go.
So good job, Army. Way to produce a fully thinking and functional troop.
So
situational awareness and the ability to adapt.
Yes.
God. So Goodman pushes this protester a few times and leads him the other way towards where he knows he's got backup waiting, right? Yeah. So he leads them that way. Now, some of the people in the House of Representatives are evacuated, but the rest are locked down and proceedings resume. this was a mistake, but this is how they do it. Rioters then take the crypt, which is the center of the Capitol building, and will allow them easy access to the rest of the building, right? So the crypt is at the center, and now rioters have gone in there. They've pushed back all the cops. They've, just overwhelmed them, and they've opened the doors for people who are waiting outside the crypt, and just now the mob enters, right?
Yeah.
So the real part of the mob is starting to finger its way out through all these different passageways into the Capitol. At this point, Trump tweets that Pence is the enemy and he didn't have the strength to do the right thing, firing these people who are already like, yes, we're in, and now we're going to go do our thing. Pence and his family are being led to safety as Trump fans these flames. Okay,
Yeah.
So Pence is escaping for his life with his family as Trump says terrible things about him. The second major breach occurs, allowing some of the Oath Keepers access. As they enter, Proud Boys, including Joe Biggs, who is now entering a second time, because he got in over there, and then he left, and now he came in this other route. And you see, this is where we are talking about how the Oath Keepers put their hand on their hand and they line up and they go through.
Yeah.
That's how they get into the crypt.
You wedge your ass through the crowd. Yeah.
Now, rioters at this point find Nancy Pelosi's offices, and staffers are hiding in terror as they hear pounding on the door. Now, the place where the staffers are hiding has two doors. They locked both the doors and they're hiding under a table, just absolutely terrified for their lives. Luckily, you see video of one dude trying to break in. He breaks through the first door, sees there's a second door, says fuck it, and moves on. Thank fucking God, because that would have been a fucking...
There's no telling what a mob of humans is going to do when they find victims.
Yep. It's not
Other
okay.
than it'll be horrific.
Now, throughout all of this, so all of this is happening, the House is still in session. At this point, the House is told that there are rioters in the Capitol and to prepare in case of breach. What? Why weren't you already evacuated? This is insane, okay? Senators and Capitol Police barricade the door to the House as rioters bang on the doors and attempt to gain access. Capitol Police take aim at rioters through the doors and the barricades. So these are those really famous pictures where you see...
Ashley
They
Babbitt.
have finally
Nope, not
established
yet.
Oh,
their...
not yet?
No, Ashley Babbitt tries to get in a different way, and that's why
yes.
she gets shot.
Yeah. No, this is at the door of the house.
Yes, this is at the main door of the House where... Andrew Clyde is screaming for his life. That famous picture, and then he says, "Oh, they were just there for, pictures and stuff. It's fine. It's fine. It was just a tour." But he's standing there screaming for his life. You see the guys with the guns hiding behind the thing. So, senators and Capitol Police barricade the door to the House of Rioters. Attempt to bang on the. Capitol Police take aim at rioters through the doors and the barricade. Some of the mob wander down the hall looking for another point of entry. While the House starts to evacuate, 3 officers and a security staff guard. These people have nothing. They have sidearm, that's it.
Yep.
They have no armor, they're not prepared for this. So they're just standing there and,
No, they're perfectly prepared for the operation they need to be conducting, which is shooting anyone who comes through that door.
Oh, you're not going to shoot this many people. We have discussed this. I don't care how many clips
I think if
you've
you
got.
shoot 2 or 3, they're going to back right off.
Oh,
My concern is they're within 100 meters. Humans will assault through heavy artillery bombardment at that distance.
these people were literally chest
They
to
will
chest.
continue the assault.
Fine.
These people are
Do
literally.
we not
chest to
agree they are
chest.
assaulting? Like, this is nitwits in the assault. I think the pressure of people is so great.
3 officers and a security staff guard guard the door on the back of the house that separate the rioters that broke off from the other mob from the evacuees.
Yeah.
So behind where these 4 people are standing, you can see people evacuating.
Right.
Well,
when heavily armed officers arrive to assist the unprepared officers, step aside, allowing rioters direct access to the doors before the new group can take point at the entryway. This is pivotal because this is where an officer on the other side of the doors draws his gun as the glass is broken by the mob. This is when Ashley Babbitt tries to jump through the broken window and the officer fires at her. She's shot once in the chest. Mind you, the mob was shouting, "There's a gun," and the officer told them to stay back.
Yep.
They had every warning. She knew
All
what
she had to
was
do was
getting
obey the
into.
police.
There was no reason for her to try to jump through that window except her own fucking stupidity. So this is the terrible incident that these fucking assholes want to try to say, oh, she's a martyr. She's not a fucking martyr. She's a criminal.
Yeah.
And she's dead because of it. And yeah, I feel for her family because of
How do you
what...
push on those humans? Like, those humans aren't kidding. That's not threat display. We're looking at one of the pictures of the Capitol Police with weapons drawn, and, like, there's a human looking through the broken bit of glass on the other, like, I wouldn't take that room from that angle if I had, like, if we were going to do it.
Yeah.
Like, let alone...
And you notice they didn't come through that door.
No, and one thing you have to remember is Ashley Babbitt got shot. There was one dude on the other side of that door, and he said, I swear to God, you come through here, I will shoot you.
Yeah.
Because he was alone.
Yeah.
He was the only one that was protecting these evacuees, and he had no choice. He had to fire, because if he did not fire at her, I don't even want to discuss
That
the
he was going to
ramifications.
hold at all costs.
No, and I can arrange to feel very sorry for Ashley Babbitt and her family, because I think she wound up there for a range of reasons that
I
are
don't feel that
just
sorry for her.
unspeakable.
Yeah.
God, that's...
Somebody's propaganda art that shows her in a hallway not being the problem.
Yeah.
Getting shot.
No, she
that's
had a
not
crazy ass
what happened.
loan. She was absolutely fucked by America. And that's where, like, I'd love to be able to chunk this up into easy thirds and be like, okay, so the people who got screwed by America and got sold a bill of goods on how we were going to make America great again and whatever they thought that meant.
But again,
She was one of many, many, many people who were manipulated by the rich Trump-tards to do something that, first of all, wasn't in their own best interest.
Right.
Second was criminal. And third was an attack on the
The
United
standard
States
And
of
again,
America.
you guys do
America.
not have to take our word for this. There is video everywhere that proves, that absolutely proves beyond a shadow of a doubt exactly the horrible things that occurred that day. And you can watch it on this, you know, I will bring us back and give you the name of it again. I'll probably even link it in the description because it's very important. I think everybody needs to watch it. Inside the house, the floor is cleared, right? So everybody has evacuated the floor of the house, but lawmakers are sheltering in the balcony still. They remove their pins, and rioters that almost enter the balcony are held at gunpoint while the balcony finally gets evacuated. Again, Ashley Babbitt didn't have to be killed if they had evacuated sooner. Like, this is all part of, like, so much happened that didn't necessarily have to happen.
The fact they don't control
this
the
had
cell
been
phone
handled
towers makes me
appropriately.
crazy.
With the House evacuated, the Senate is occupied by Trump supporters. They're in there by themselves at this point because cops are like, fuck it, we got to hold what we can hold, and this is gone.
How does the Capitol not have sound weapons on the inside? Just like, you're not going down that hallway, bro. I mean, you can if you're deaf or don't care about being in 2 minutes.
So Trump supporters are occupying the Senate as they trash the place, trying to stop the certification of the election. Now, we all know that they didn't stop it; they just postponed it. Okay, and chaos reigns outside the Capitol. So we're gonna switch back and tell you what's going on outside at this point. This is where Officer Robert Glover, who, again, I cannot say enough good things about. He is an American fucking hero. Officer Robert Glover, after trying to organize with the Capitol 4 times, he requested, you know, we need to back up. Where should we go? What are we doing? What's the plan? 4 times he calls for help. 4 times he goes unanswered. After not receiving any response, he sees the line break. There's nothing he can do at this point. He calls his officers to pull back, and then as a last resort, Glover issues a 1033, which is all's lost. We're fucked. And finally, you hear a response. Somebody on the other end says, we need to send help to them. Anyone, everyone, now, where he is. Rioters continue to assault the police even as they fall back. So as the police are backing up and trying to regroup and trying to whatever, the rioters are continuing to follow them, continuing to harass them, continuing to beat them and spray them and all these terrible things. This is when, at this moment, is when that battle in the doorway that we've seen so many videos of occurs. So this is the one where you see the officer get stuck in the door. They're trying to close the door. The rioters are trying to keep it open. So this officer gets stuck in that doorway, gets tased, beaten, crushed, sprayed with chemicals. And in this harangue, right? So in this battle, 4 officers get pulled into the crowd.
Note to self, Capitol needs pneumatic doors that will close even.
I was just thinking.
This is also where Roseanne Boyland gets trampled and
Yep.
dies. So this is the second Trumpy
or
that
from the Adderall. But
And another tragic death.
Yeah.
Right.
exactly.
I mean, she was there
another tragic and unnecessary death.
because a bunch of rich Trump-tards paid to
and you
have her
see
brought
video
there.
of her
Rich
friend
Americans
yelling
the
for
fact
help.
that they hid under Trump's blanket doesn't mean
peace.
anything. They're the
Yeah.
people who've been ruining America since the 70s.
You see video of her friend trying to pull her out, yelling and screaming for help. And no, they just trample her. They don't care. The rioters at this point are just gone. Mob mentality rules at this point. They don't care about anything. So you see, you'll see video. I say visions, but video of one of the cops being pulled out by his helmet on his face. This is where a lot of the real terrible things that happened that day to officers happened. Just horrendous things that I don't even want to go. Just watch the video. It's terrible. It makes me want to cry. By the end, the Capitol has been breached in at least 8 major locations. Okay, so we have at least 8 major locations that people have been flowing into the Capitol. Finally, Metropolitan Police and other agencies arrive and begin to take the Capitol back. So we have other agencies starting to move in now, and they're starting to push people back, starting to push people out of the Capitol. Over 3 hours after the Capitol Police first called, the National Guard finally fucking arrives. They were staging just 20 minutes away, so they were right fucking there. But new rules meant that the highest level of the Pentagon had to approve deployment, and Pentagon officials delayed making this decision, partially because they were worried about optics, even as the Capitol was overrun. Fuck you guys, you gotta send them in when you gotta send them in. This is insane.
I want somebody to go through the National Guard and question their action bias. What the fuck? How do you not see this on TV and be like, hey, idiot, take 4 guys in a Humvee and go get in trouble.
Yeah.
So the rest of us have to come get you.
I mean, this is just insane, ridiculous, and stupid. Like, there was no reason for any of this, but it happened. As order is returned to the Capitol, Trump tweets yet again. And this time he says, and I'm going to quote him this time because this is fucking ridiculous. These are the things and events that happen when a sacred landslide election victory is so unceremoniously and viciously stripped away from great patriots who have been badly and unfairly treated for so long. Go home with love and in peace. Remember this day forever! ! Fuck that shit.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest with you, after reading this several times, I do not believe Trump wrote this.
No, fuck no.
I do not believe this is not his, this is not the way he speaks. This is not his cadence, right? This is not his cadence. This is something somebody else wrote for him that he shared.
Yes.
And this is disgusting. The rioters left the Capitol building trashed and shit and pissed everywhere. Just disgusting. I mean, what the fuck is wrong with you? I mean, what kind of a person? I mean, fine, you're mad, you want to go in there, you want to break things, you want to steal.
No,
That's
they
one
wanted to
thing.
bring a nation
But
down.
shitting and pissing is just, what the fuck? Were you, like, how were you raised that this is an
They had
okay
been
way
told-
to
What Americans
behave?
have done in
They had
every
been
fancy
told
building they've ever conquered ever.
by a whole bunch of rich folks over a series of years that America was no longer on their team.
Which means America
It's
must
not.
die.
Trump was just the fuse.
Yeah, this started in 1934. Well, 33, but no, there was more people pushing back against it than then. These are the people who think the only problem with Great Gatsby is it inconvenienced some white dudes. Dead bitches everywhere at the end of that tale. Yeah, no, it's cool. So no, fuck.
So again, this was called Day of Rage, how Trump supporters took the U.S. Capitol by the New York Times. And it is very well detailed. It is very well explained. They tell you where they got their information. They tell you why things happened in different ways. It's just watch it. If you're not sure,
No, I'm willing.
if you're whatever.
I'm willing to say 51% of that. It's more than that actually. Of the people who were there are the lost and the damned, right? Trump followers who. They couldn't vote for Hillary because, well, they've already seen how the Clintons governed. That didn't do anything really good for them as far as they could tell. So, no, I feel bad for that segment, right? The Proud Boys, the ones with an agenda, because, yeah, their lives would be wildly improved by America becoming a fascist state. They would become the enforcers. They'd become police chiefs and God knows what.
Yeah.
So let's discuss opposing points. Okay. So I have some details about a Republican senator that was involved in all this and a Democratic senator that was involved in all this. So Mike Gallagher, who is the Republican for Wisconsin, made a video during the insurrection while he's locked in his office, terrified for his life, begging Trump to stop the insurrection. And he calls it an insurrection and begs Trump to stop it.
Right.
Just very meaningful video, very accurate
What does
to
he
what was
say now?
happening. Basically, as soon as this was all said and done, Mike Gallagher went on to vote not to impeach Trump, along with most of his Republican counterparts.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you ask him today, he'll tell you that it was a peaceful
All right.
demonstration.
Except for the Antifas.
So then we're going to talk about Eric Swalwell, who is Democrat for California, and was the impeachment manager. So he texted during the insurrection, he texted his wife to hug his kids. They have 3 children, and tell them that he loved them, afraid of the worst. His wife took the kids out of school,
Damn straight you do.
for the day out of fear.
Yes.
This past weekend, so I just saw an interview about him today, and he said just as of this past weekend, his family has received death threats.
Yes.
Recently. Like, this is insane.
This is what was scummy about Garland talking
So
about.
find
both
out
sides.
who sent those,
Oh, yeah.
arrest them,
And in 30 years,
try them, convict
Merrick
them,
Garland's Department of Justice might find enough to maybe think
Consider-
about. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Eric's standpoint at this point is that he thinks it's shameful that Dems haven't been able to push voting protection rights, and says Republicans are choosing violence, and we need to fight back.
Yep.
Because in every instance, Republicans are choosing violence. Okay, so the only way to
They
to
know they
deal
will
with
never
that
again be a majority.
is to
and they are
actively
fine with
fight
that.
it.
They just want to rule.
Yeah, it's not okay. It's not okay. And we talked about Andrew Clyde, who I think is just the biggest ass. He's the biggest horse's ass fucking ever, in a bad way. He's just an idiot. So Andrew Clyde was that fucking dumbass that was all like, oh, save me, shoot them, use your guns. And then the next day was talking about how, It was like an orderly. They were all walking in line. It was very orderly. It was just, they
Him
were
and
just
Lindsey
coming
Graham
to say
can hold
hi.
hands in hell.
It was wonderful. It was great, and they were wonderful people, and I hope they come again. Like, fuck you.
Yeah.
I wish they had gotten their
Lindsey Graham
hands
was another
on
one
you.
who wanted the cops to
Yep.
light them up and get everybody killed.
Lindsey Graham did the same thing, and a lot
Once
of
the
Republicans
gunfire
did.
starts, I have no doubt that there are groups we don't even know had bags full of guns.
Oh yeah. So now let's discuss some of the lies, right, that came out of. So I watched a show today. It's MSNBC, Insurrection in America, Democracy in Peril. And this was what I was telling you about, that I learned a lot of this newer information. MSNBC did an amazing thing where they had Trump saying the speech where he talks about how, oh, these people were full of love and happiness, and they put it over the video of these rioters just bashing cops and just yelling and screaming profanities and abusing cops and spraying them with chemicals, and beautiful masterpiece, fucking love it. We need more of that. But anyway, so they discuss 4 major lies about the January 6th insurrection that have occurred since that happened. So the first one, I didn't really take too many notes. I know we're going to tear these apart on our own. One of the major ones was they were tourists.
Yeah.
And Trump said they were full of love. And we all know that is a lie.
I got video.
Yeah, lots of video. Number 2 was, it wasn't an insurrection. So let's have a little bit of fun here, and I'm going to give
Magic
you.
Merriam-Webster.
Uh-huh.
What do words mean? Does it?
So the dictionary, Oxford Dictionary, definition of insurrection is a violent uprising against an authority or government.
Yep. No, they say that because no one's being charged with insurrection.
And then
We should fix that.
Merriam-Webster definition of insurrection is usually a violent attempt to take control of a government.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's what they did, because they were trying to stop the government from
acknowledgement that their
certifying
boy didn't win.
the election. So, yeah, that's a fucking insurrection. I don't care how you cut it. That's the textbook definition.
Well,
And
I'm
even
going to find out what federal law
even
defines it as.
Lindsey Graham, right after it happened, called it a failed insurrection. Out of his own mouth, there's video of it.
Of course.
That's
He was
what
a scare.
started. The third one is, it wasn't an armed insurrection. That's another lie they like to tell. Pipe bombs were laid about the Capitol.
Oh, yeah, they're fucked.
Explosives, stun guns, flags, batons. Half a dozen were arrested for having guns and such on them. They were fully armed. They had baseball bats, as we've said. You've got video of
At
them.
least one Taurus judge
They
was
had,
brought to the compound loaded and lost by its
chemical-
retard owner.
chemical weapons such as bear spray, mace, pepper spray, all those things. They were fucking armed.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, as we know, had full tactical gear. That's armed, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, no, but you can probably get them. Washington, D.C. almost certainly has a body armor upcharge. Sure. No, a tactical gear I'm less concerned about. But the fact that U.S. Code defines it as whoever incites, sets on foot, assists, or engages in any rebellion or insurrection against the authority of the United States or the laws thereof, or gives aid or comfort thereto, shall be fined under this title and imprisoned for not more than 10 years, or both, and shall be incapable of holding any office under the United States.
Who was in the Willard
marching to
Hotel?
do it. Yeah, no, exactly. So, like, I agree with your, like, I'm perfectly down with the definition. I just want to see what the legal code definition was. Because it's like treason. You need, like, 2 people to swear to it, or, like, a confession. Because bosses like to use treason when they can. So, same with insurrection.
But no, the 700 clowns we have on charges.
Yeah.
Right? These are the people who were misled by the rich
Yep.
for years and years and years. Yes, they're guilty of felonies. They should expect to spend several years in a prison. But the ones who are guilty of the insurrection are the ones who caused it.
The ones who bought burner phones with cash.
Yeah,
Oh
kind of
yeah, and as I
interesting.
said, all
Some
the Oath
knowledge of guilt.
Keepers, all the Proud Boys, they all had radios. They were
Right.
talking to each other. I think it was.
I don't care about the kids that set
I'm
foot on the
talking
property.
about the folks in the Willard Hotel. The ones who should
I'm
be
talking
charged
about the people
with
who've had a good
insurrection.
time in America and are actively trying to burn part of it down.
Yeah.
Because I agree.
So wake up,
the people that
Merrick
whack the
Garland.
cops, get them. Like, I like that we've boiled it down enough that we don't, because yes, some of them were just caught up in the moment. Riots are fun. Or protests are fun, and they turn into riots very easily.
Quickly, yeah.
Yeah.
So the fourth one is the crowd was provoked by undercover FBI agents.
Right.
Thank you, Tucker Carlson.
So, unindicted people, Tucker Carlson referred to as FBI agents, which is not true because if you're an FBI agent, you would not be referred to as an unindicted person. That's not how it works.
I have no doubt there were FBI snitches in that crowd.
Oh, yeah.
If nothing
Right,
else,
these were violent
the
groups.
leader
You
of
can
the
be
Proud
absolutely
Boys
sure
is an
that they were
informant.
being tracked.
Yeah.
Ineffectually, it now appears.
Yeah, that pretty much is stock and trade of the FBI.
Appears to be.
They
They sure don't seem to have any stomachs.
their informants get away with so much crazy shit, it's insane.
Yeah.
Now,
Well, and they've said again and again and again, but there was Antifa. I mean, here's a picture of Antifa.
They
No,
literally-
he's a fucking Trump tard.
They literally, and this is the one that shows up on an Antifa website because it was known Nazis.
Yeah.
Okay. No, goddamn the FBI. I understand why you can't take that much DNA out of Southie and not come out with something with a weird looking baby, but fuck me, man.
yeah.
You don't have to be this bad at it all the time.
Now, one thing that everybody, I think, wants to not think about is the fact that all of this started, as we know, with the social media posts and stuff that happened before.
Yeah.
This started long before
Yes.
January 6th.
Yeah.
So December 14th, Trump promised that with enough pressure, Republicans could change the vote.
They had before.
Michael Flynn said that Trump could use the military to redo the votes in swing states, force the military in there,
And the American military thought IEDs were bad in Iraq.
Trump was talked down from doing just that because he considered
Because he doesn't
some
have
form
the
of
stones to give that order. That would have required an affirmative action on his part. He would have had to say, "Do it."
And we have to be honest about what Michael Flynn was advocating. He was advocating for martial law.
A military coup.
Period.
Yeah.
Words right out of his mouth.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that was Michael Flynn.
He was advocating so loud that shithead with the pillows heard him.
Yeah. So as of January 2nd, Ted Cruz begins a hard push for people to fight against the stolen election. And this is not right, and blah, 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 even though at this point, the election has already been decided and agreed upon. That happened on December 14th. Everybody said yes, no. Trump did not win. Biden won by
That
a
exactly
significant
the
amount.
normal thing happened. Republicans vote in person, which means they get counted early, and there's always a blue shift. But they figured America's internal organs were weak enough, they could make a go of it. And they came within a hair's breadth of very
really
likely
did.
doing that.
Good. Yeah. Somebody I saw refer to this as a classic white riot. So this has happened many
actually pretty
times
true.
in America's past, and if you're not paying attention, you should go back and look that shit up. One of the things that was mentioned was the 1898 in Carolina. Was it North Carolina? I don't know.
This is
One
where
of the
they installed the
Carolinas.
new government.
They overthrew and they
Uh-huh.
kicked out whoever was there.
The
and,
black
no.
people who were elected.
Yeah. So this is kind of, there's a lot more of this in American
exactly.
history than we want
No,
to discuss.
I saw good articles today linking this to, this was the white backlash from a year of social justice protests and riots.
Right. So this is where things get interesting because somebody mentioned that a lot of these people are lying without lying. Okay, so they're telling truths, but they don't talk about the things
best kind of
around
lie,
it,
yep.
right? So an example of doing such a thing would be showing lots of videos of white people getting murdered by black people, right?
Yeah.
So you're showing all these videos and saying, look, it happens all the time. Here's all these videos. And you can find those never endingly, and you can report on those. But it doesn't really show the percentages and the reality of what's happening.
Well, and it's not like Twitter or Facebook is ever going to take one of them down, because they make money showing them to more people.
Because they agree with them.
Right. So this is what
people who populate Silicon Valley are very angry at a world that didn't recognize how very special they are, and that they know a lot about swords or whatever garbage internet nonsense they're into. And I agree with Huzitz's line, and I will find the quote for tomorrow night, because it's so perfect, because it ends with, what you don't realize is how very common you are because of all of these things.
Yeah.
No, Silicon Valley is not our friend.
No, the whole concept of lying without lying is what scares me the most, because I feel like that's where they're catching people, right?
Yes.
The whole, oh, well, that can't be true. And then looking, oh, it is true.
And
then you get enough of that, it reinforces the propaganda, and then you stop looking it up as much,
If your life isn't shitty, you're willing to agree that America's a full-ass meritocracy, when quite obviously it's not. We have numbers. We can look at it and tell. But if you did well in America, you really want to believe that it was, you got here on personal merit alone, man. When now it was a lot of things. It was the fact that your boss was coking up his boss. And so that made your team very popular.
Yeah, no, we're talking mass delusion. We're talking voter identity. Voter identity is a bad idea. Because if you identify yourself as a Republican voter or a Democratic voter, guess what? You're not paying attention to anything else.
And this is America has a 30-year cycle on white supremacy. That you can walk back every time we've had this blowout, all the way back to the Civil War and before. So part of it is just weird cycles in history, and part of it is America has disappointed so many people, they're willing to give up on it and try anything the fuck else, right? Again, it's why the stunt candidates are doing well. Because, well, how bad could they really screw it up? Most of the time, not a lot, right? What's her name who had to do the ad about how she's not a witch and all kinds of stuff, when I wouldn't beat on her for the witch thing. It's the being an anti-masturbatory spokesperson that I have questions. But no,
so you got disinformation, okay? The feds did it, Antifa did it, the deep state did it, CIA
anybody but
did it.
us did it. Yeah.
And this is delegitimizing the majority vote because they're not, quote unquote, their people.
Even
okay?
the lady that
That's what
deleted
they're
torture tape said we are walking into a right-wing coup.
So Trumpers were able to excuse other Trumpers on their behavior because those are my people. They didn't do anything wrong. But if,
but damn, wouldn't they like to spend an hour talking about a riot they saw 20 seconds of video of a while ago? And or some other misframed thing, like I love the video of that poor old man getting attacked by the Antifas. Oh, you mean the Nazi who was swinging a knife a second ago?
Yeah.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
So no,
and this is what leads to the authoritarian point of view, and they don't even realize that this is where they're headed, right? It's what's happening.
Less willing to let them off the hook for that, just because I think they do want authoritarianism. I think there is a streak of, right, America has always been fascinated with authoritarianism. We also knew it was like herding cats to try it on us.
Yeah.
But we're now coming to an intersection of, we've got all of your Google searches throughout all time, ever. Right. Do you really want to fight? Again, Facebook's like big draw card when they start really threatening, is it 530 or 520? Anyway, when they really start threatening tech companies are going to go, cool, do you want me to publish everyone who's having an affair in America? Because I have that data.
Right.
I can tell when people are like not at the place they usually are. Yeah. And like, how do you think Google can tell you about the traffic? Because it sometimes samples your location data. Or all the time.
Right. And when you talk about the propaganda surrounding January 6th, it pushed people to believe that the January 6ers were victims, not aggressors.
Well, they had already seen an election stolen in 2000 whatever, because how otherwise did Barack Obama get elected?
Majority vote, every other fucking president?
Twice.
No, the Electoral College, like every other president.
Fine.
All right, but I hear a lot of the left talking about, well, the popular vote should be the thing. Cool, pass some laws that make that true.
Move.
That's
I'm all about that.
Oh, yeah, but it's also why the Republicans spent the 90s and early 2000s making sure that electoral college votes were awarded based on congressional districts.
Yeah.
Because they knew they were wild. They weren't fucking around.
Yeah.
Right? The guy whose daughter is releasing spools of stuff from his...
Discs.
yes.
Yeah.
His hard drives of... no, they're doing it racially. Yes, the Supreme Court told them they had to make it look like it was politically motivated. Inventing a motive is the easiest part.
Right.
The rest is the actual hard part that makes up the actual crimey bits.
Yeah.
So,
So I love one from today. So you gotta love Ted Cruz, right?
oh no.
I
So
don't.
today
I haven't
he called January 6th a violent terrorist attack.
Oh, good.
Wow.
He's back on the
That
right.
was morning Ted Cruz.
That was morning Ted Cruz.
Then what happened?
Afternoon Ted Cruz was on with Tucker Carlson to beg
Of course he
him
was.
to forgive him for saying that. And then Tucker Carlson makes him beg harder. So
Of course he does.
I may have to watch that. That could be fun.
Yeah, no,
That's
I
the
might
demonstration
watch
of
that for
power.
funsies.
I don't know if Tucker Carlson is a white supremacist or not, but I know large chunks of his viewership are. His most ardent fans are.
Uh-huh.
And he makes money playing up to his
Oh, yeah.
ardent fans.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Well,
Well,
that's who's going to buy the supplements, because I assume he has a radio show. They always do.
So
Whatever.
this is all the stuff that we said. We said we were gonna walk you through the January 6th insurrection, which I think I did a pretty good
You
job on. And some of the things surrounding it and what led up to it. And honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you. The backlash since then, we were already split, right? We were already split Republican Democrat before this, right? As soon
that
as
was
Trump,
profitable.
as soon as Trump got elected, the world, America was like, "You're not my people."
That was wild.
Oh, it was before
that.
for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm saying like that was the crux, right?
No,
When
but-
he got elected, a lot of people said, "I can't even fucking talk to you anymore. I'm done with this shit." And that went both ways, right? That was Republicans to Democrats, Democrats to Republicans. Then, we elected Biden. We went through the January 6th. Biden was trying to do...
We did as conciliatory a thing as we could do after you struck at the heart of fucking democracy. We chose a Republican to run as a Democrat. Awesome. Go team. So when this fails, when placating the thing doesn't work, and the internet starts
It's
to
gonna
break
be a little
down, I'm
late.
going to miss you guys.
Yeah.
No, January 6th was bad. It won't even be a footnote. Right, or it will be a footnote for when it actually happens.
Yeah.
Because our failing to crack down, our failing to do anything meaningful to the people who organized it, and we didn't last time either. In 1933, when FDR was it FDR?
33?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think.
it's one of the Roosevelts.
Then it was FDR.
Yeah, so he had the names of the conspirators who wanted to overthrow the country with the American Legion, and then all of a sudden they stopped being a problem, because when you point out we could have treason trials, shithead, it's the 30s, that's going to ring out pretty loud.
Right.
No, I would love to believe we're at least getting the same yardage we did last time we let a coup go unanswered, but
I don't think so.
no. And the children of the men that organized that coup then destroyed America, or started the destruction of America in the 70s.
I
Yep.
will say that Biden came out with a very strong speech today that was very good, and this Biden, right? So
Yeah.
kind of sort of he's been bumbling
And
his way
spoke to
through.
the Democratic soul and wasn't even heard by the Trumpistas.
But he was kind of stumbling along, and then he came out with a strong stance, right? Like, this needs to stop. The violence.
No, he needed to do that, but it will have almost no effect.
Garland already walked it back.
My point is that I would like him to continue this route. If he can
Agreed.
stay on this route, he might garner my vote again. Might.
He might start
But
by
he
replacing his
needs to-
attorney general.
Right.
Yeah.
But he needs
Well, and
to
that's
do
the-
other things.
Yeah, I've seen loads of people trying to play it off as it was a nudge to the thing, which is why Garland came out and babbled about, right, threats against officials is a crime, which I totally agree about. But then he wandered
But they're
around.
not prosecuting him.
Well, and he wandered around and how both sides and like, no, this is. I'm sure you can find some crystal child Democrat shithead who's also
Yeah.
an anti-vaxxer, but that's not the same. So,
No, and again, like, if he can stay this strong stance, right, and just say, no, this is not tolerable. It needs to stop. If he can continue through with this, perhaps he can start gathering more. If he keeps this strong man act, right, that could potentially help him gather more Democrats to his side. However, if he wavers even a little bit, this is all going to fall down like a house of cards again.
Again. His government has to act in accord with what he said.
Yes, and this is
we
why...
saw 8 years of good speeches and little action.
Right.
Remember I was telling you about Eric Swalwell?
Yeah. You know?
So he compared Biden in this instance to Bad Boys with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, where Martin Lawrence drives terribly throughout whole of it, and then he, does the real good thing at the end.
Drive
Will
like
Smith
that
says,
all the
drive
time.
like that all the time. So his point to Biden is, talk like that all
Keep
the
it
time.
up.
Be that person all the time. This
Having
is the person I
Biden
want.
talk that way
Yeah.
is of very little use by itself.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay.
But the point is that people like Eric Swalwell can work with this, right? Like people who
They
are
can
trying
message on
to.
it. They
Yes.
can stay in a nice house and have a nice job while America burns.
All right. Never
What did he
mind.
do with the? Well, hold on. Let's see when he got elected.
Wait a minute. Did we convict Trump after we impeached him? No.
No, that was the Republicans.
Agreed, but they're going to be around.
Yeah.
There's going to be more of them at the end of 2022.
If we don't fucking do something. Which
Yes,
is my point.
And I've seen this
The
party
key
when it
words
wants
there
to do
are
something.
do something, not give a speech.
When they want to win elections. At this point, we were already pushing for minimum wage hikes for midterm election ballot initiatives because that drives out our base without weaponizing theirs. That's why they were putting gay marriage on the ballot in every place they could, because it drives out their base without weaponizing ours. Because, honestly, gay marriage was mostly irrelevant because you get all the same effect with paperwork. I absolutely agree.
That doesn't make it more acceptable or less offensive.
No shit.
I understand.
Exactly. Again, it was the Democrats that ushered in the garbage of don't ask, don't tell. And if the military had had any honor at all, if you could wring a boot full of honor out of the whole of them, then that might have worked. But we have to deal with the military we have, not the one we want. Just ask Taiwan.
Well,
That could have been handled so easy.
I was trying to put maybe there's a
apparently we
in the
can't
distance, but
tolerate
apparently,
anything but downers.
Yeah,
No,
we have no ability to look at the
part of this
possible
is us
good
being
things.
again.
We don't see a whole lot of hope in the future, but keep showing us the hope.
I started this
At some point, we might believe.
when I was 12, and
I was
that's
always
the
saying,
noise
wait
it
and
always
see.
makes.
Yeah.
All right.
No, just watching us. Like we're always good at the ground game. We give good speeches, and then not so much on the action.
Yeah.
All right. So we promised we talk about my dark factor results.
Oh, yeah.
So let's talk about those real quick before we sign
How
off.
crazy are you?
So for those of you that don't know, the dark factor of personality is ethically, morally, and socially questionable behavior as part of everyday life. Psychologists use the umbrella term dark traits to subsume personality traits that are linked to these classes of behavior, most prominently Machiavellianism, as you said the other night, narcissism, psychopathy, among many others. The dark factor of personality specifies what all dark traits have in common, i.e. their common core. You can determine your level in D at website blah blah blah.
Darkfactor.org or something.
Your scores, because the scores don't mean anything without me explaining this to you real quick. Your score on the D factor and specific dark traits. For all scores, the scale ranges from 1, which is very low, to 5, which is very high. Below the score is your relative position rank compared to the 658,998 participants of the study. Is shown, for example, rank of 80% means that your score is equal to or higher than the score of 80% of the participants. So my D score is 2.31,
Okay.
which puts me at the 47%. So kind of right in the middle.
Barnabas punch the cuff. She crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of like smack dab in the middle of these other people when it comes to my dark score.
So.
But again, like I did the simple one, which if you don't hurt me, like I don't have
Exactly. The
want
questions
to hurt
were
you.
worded in a way I'd have had to go out of my way to do something to them, and I'm not going to do that.
No, for me, I am more likely to, want to cause you harm or personal whatever if you have caused me harm or personal whatever, or you've hurt a family member or a very close friend of mine.
Yeah.
I've slapped people for annoying a friend of mine, or a friend of mine came to me and was like, hey, this guy is being a dick, and I slapped him when I was like 12.
I wonder if there's a male-female divide.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because I'm almost prepared to bet that women typically score higher.
Yeah.
In defense of hearth and home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That would at least fit with the handful of data we have on female military units.
Okay.
That they're prone to war crimes because it's not fun. It's not just a day at the office.
Right.
This means something. And they lose it in the same, right? It's like whichever time, and I think it was anyway, somebody's medic got killed, and that unit just lost their shit and started shooting everyone who fucking looked at them sideways, because fuck them. And, this is the problem with forever war.
Yeah.
So, with the questions they asked me, I didn't score particularly high, but I'm going to be honest with you. Don't fuck with me.
Yeah.
Because I have no moral quandary.
Yeah.
If you hold a gun to my son's head, I will fucking just kill you. There will be no questions. There will be no debate. There will be no put down the gun.
Right.
I'm just going to be on top of you, and that's going to be the end of it, because I will not let you survive, even if I die too.
Yeah.
Like, we're all going to die. It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be pretty. So,
again, when the Chechens attacked the Russians at that opera house, and they used nerve gas to take the building, and the civilians around ripped apart the handful of terrorists they got their hands on. Because, in Mexico City, when they tore apart those cops who were taking pictures of kids that they were going to kidnap later, or whatever totally legit reason they had for taking pictures of rich kids.
I saw a movie based on a true story about a woman whose child was molested by a boyfriend or whatever. She didn't find out till later, and she found out they were going to court. It wasn't going well, and she fucking stood up in court in front of God and the world and fucking shot him. And I was like, yep, nope, I would have done that too.
Try and get away with your crimes, the internet. A, don't do crimes, the internet. B, try and get away with them. Like,
oh yeah, I wouldn't have done him in the courthouse. I would have waited till afterwards, and then
take
he
some
would have been
goddamn
found.
pride in your craft.
He would have been found dead in a ditch somewhere, and no one would have known what happened. But
that's the headline. Don't do crimes.
Don't kill people. Don't do crimes. But like if somebody fucks with your face.
Risen statements now reflect the statements and sentiment of
the belief of BoomerRexTonight.
Network. something.
Yeah.
Barnabas, call that lawyer.
Yeah, no, don't do the crimes to people. And again, that's on both sides, right? Like, if you don't do crimes, no one's going to want to kill you. Everybody's
Probably
fine.
not.
Fine.
It's fine. You got to go both ways. So anyway, that is our discussion for this evening. I feel like this was very educational.
Yeah.
I had fun with this.
Oh, hell yeah.
And again, there are much better places you can find much more in-depth deep dives than what I was able to do tonight. I literally
but I also don't want us to get lost in believing that like this was the fucking Rubicon. Like, no.
Right. No,
that was before.
That was a long way back.
That was the 90s in tort reform. So no company now fears, right, in 98 when the Supreme Court ruled that you can't bankrupt a company through fines and penalties.
No, and
the fuck are you talking about? That's literally the only thing they had to fear, and we're like, no.
So this information that I presented to you this evening was 6 hours of me doing research just today, but this is also, I've watched and listened to hundreds of hours of video on and about the insurrection and
I remember
everything.
watching the insurrection with you last year.
Oh my God.
All of us wondering why you take the goddamn
Where's
fucking
the
back.
National Guard? What is going on? Like, this is
Like, look, you gotta
insane.
saddle them up. You gotta whatever. You gotta drive to one side of the property, and you need to just walk arm in arm, butt stroking anyone who gets close enough.
Yep.
Because that's the only right with dudes on the 50s on back. Because if the crowd does anything but back the fuck up, we're gonna turn them into hamburger and start calling for artillery support.
Yeah, and again, for one of the things that I did want to mention that I didn't say, I don't know if I made a note of it. I thought I did, but anyway, there was. So there are actually people who were at the riot, right? So there's all these Trump conspiracy theories about FBI and Antifa and stuff. They're like, no, it was us. We were there. What the fuck? Stop lying. It was us the whole time.
Goddamn Patsy keep talking shit.
So these people are trying to convince
Jack Ruby had to shoot fucking Oswald.
these people are trying to convince people like Tucker Carlson that no, it was us. We really were there. What the fuck are you doing? So you got people who are all over their Facebooks and social media posting pictures saying, see, I'm a Trump supporter. I was there.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of what I did, because a lot of these people truly believed that Donald Trump called them to do this thing.
They
did truly believe this because he did. He did.
Yep.
And you'll see it. I think I proved my case. I really do. With his tweets, with his speeches beforehand. I don't even need to go over those. You can watch them yourself. He literally called
Well, soon
people to
enough, we'll
action.
have all the tweets and all the timelines.
So the note I wrote down while we were talking is it's like climate change, because for the people who are just fucked, right, and just it's not going to get better. It really doesn't matter who we elect, because they're right. Their earning time is mostly over. They know they're never going to retire. The fucked in America.
Yep.
I wrote down it's like climate change because, like climate change, a lot of their concern stems from the fact that they have no idea what to tell the kids they know.
Yeah.
Right. All they can tell them is working 40 hours is for chumps. So go be internet famous or whatever. Like, try something different, because hard work isn't what's rewarded. And it probably never was, but it wasn't this transparent.
But
We might want to change some of that. And yes, it was until,
Fine.
the late 70s, early 80s.
No, it wasn't around. And when I was, I didn't have a lot of
again,
opinion
I
on
want to
things.
give a shout out to Goodman.
Yep.
Fucking brilliant, man. You
Way to
are
go hard,
you
man.
are my personal hero.
Yeah.
You
Way to
fucking
go.
rocked it. You saved, I couldn't even tell you how many lives that day, because luckily we didn't have to see. We didn't have to find out because of you. You are amazing. And to all the officers that were there and the many that committed suicide after the fact, I debated on looking up the numbers, but it's deplorable and it's sad and it's depressing, and I didn't want to go into that, but for all the families of the police officers that took their lives after this horrific event, I apologize, and we're with you and we feel you, and
Cops have a hard enough job, America. We didn't need to show them yet another ugly thing.
No,
yeah,
we really didn't.
I know that sometimes we say some like whatever things about cops, because there are some situations where cops like just fucking don't get it, right? They just don't get it. But in this instance, all of these cops were trying to do the right thing, and all of these cops did their best to try to save lives and help them, help each other, and fuck.
Like
guys,
with most
I'm
things,
sorry.
the overwhelming majority were trying to do the right thing.
I couldn't even imagine trying to live through something like this. It must be horrific. And to all the people who cleaned up after this happened, I've heard some of the horror stories of these people cleaning, and just terrible, just absolutely terrible. And how traumatizing it must be. It's like when you
Fuck them. Nope. I was fine until you said traumatizing. No, something bad actually has to happen to you to be traumatized.
Right.
Well, some of these people
Cleaning up
should make
shit
you
isn't-
angry.
Yeah. No, I agree.
but some of these people were literally hiding.
That part traumatizing for sure.
Yeah.
But you're talking about the people who cleaned up after and like.
Oh, no.
that's
I'm
fucking
sorry.
cool.
I worded that
That's
weirdly.
where I got-
No, you're right. I worded that weirdly. No. The cleaning up, not so much. But some of these people who cleaned up were hiding.
Yes.
Was my
Now I get you.
and
Nope,
I was
mistake.
kind of getting there, but I didn't get there fast enough. I apologize. But my point is that this is terrible, and it should never happen again. And it shouldn't have happened this time for so many reasons.
I need them to take a sober-ass look at it and understand and act with energy due the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
That they marched the flag of a hostile power through the fucking Capitol. And we can talk about Portland and a federal court that was mildly inconvenienced, I guess. Sure.
No, and the flag...
That's not the same.
The flag he's referring to is the Confederate flag.
Yes.
We will keep rehashing this because
A
the
foreign
Confederate flag
hostile
is
power.
a foreign
Yes.
hostile power, yes.
Which is never
When you
happened.
fight a war with somebody, that's the definition of hostile.
They were a belligerent power at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then it turns out they didn't have cannons, so oops.
Those of you who believe the Confederate flag is a symbol of our history, no, it's not. It's a symbol of a history of another.
Watch this. Where were you born?
Alabama.
Where?
Mobile.
Okay. So you actually having a genuine claim to that flag.
Right.
So is it about heritage or any of that?
I think when I was young, it was. I think that symbology and that flag were stolen by the
Yeah.
white racists years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And no one came out to fight for it, so you gave your flag away.
Yeah. Tough luck.
Okay.
If you wanted it, you should have fought harder.
So for more bummers, the internet,
Yeah,
don't
fuck
forget
the
to
flag.
like, comment, subscribe. We're getting that Patreon up. We should have it up
This is
soon.
what happens when Boomer Rex isn't around. We just showed you some video game footage, and it was cool. We
Yeah.
told you a cool video game story. Now,
Yeah, we kind of
Boomer
prepped you for
brings
this with a
bummers.
fun. We had a fun episode.
And if you
before
like, if
this.
you'd like that better, you can vote to throw Boomer Rex off the island.
Oh no!
No.
We're gonna make him come out to the trailer and play video games.
No,
It'll be awesome.
No, that's not happening.
Anyway.
You're stuck
No.
with us.
A sad day, and let's all remember. Fuck, man, we gotta. I don't care how we got here, other than that's the route we shouldn't go down further.
Yeah.
To seek difference, but a lot of what's getting sold right now won't make it any better. We're not gonna violence our way out of this.
Not even a little bit.
It's actually one of the only things I find delightful that one of the delusions Americans hold about themselves that might actually be true is we may be one of the few uncoercible people. I mean, you can coerce us, but man, that's going to be exotic.
So don't forget to follow, like, comment, subscribe. Send
crabs.
me a Facebook message so I can talk to you. Let us know what's going on in your life, and I'll let you know what's going on in ours. Not really, I'll lie because I'm a liar.
Send me a toiletry bag full of $100 bills.
Yes.
I don't want to talk to you or anything. I just want your money.
So Patreon is coming. Keep that in mind. Patreon's coming. And our Patreon subscribers will get special perks. So keep that in mind. Read those carefully. They are subject to, I don't know, Barnabas's will. So
Ooh, yeah, there's some of that.
there's
That's
a lot of
never a
that.
good thing.
So we love you all. This has not been fun, but it's been necessary. So we hope that those of you who, didn't really know certain things or whatever, or never had the time to look into the details,
At least we gave you some starting points.
I hope that I was able to give you a bit more information and places that you can go to find the information you're
Yep.
looking for. And other than that, be good to each other. We love you, and thank you for hanging out with us. I love you. Fuck him. Have a wonderful night, and we'll see you back here tomorrow night on Boomer Rex Tonight.
Don't forget, Ronald Reagan faked his death so he could be born again as Q.